Clearly, Johanna's rescue in space required someone on the space station to press a button. Even though her teammates had already withdrawn to Earth, there seemed to be another figure there, a presence unaccounted for. Despite the uncertainty, Johanna finally embarked on her journey home. As the escape pod approached the ground, communication systems were successfully restored, causing excitement in the command center. Johanna had indeed successfully re-entered the atmosphere and was rapidly descending. The command center immediately dispatched numerous helicopters, calculating Johanna's landing site and rushing towards it. As the escape pod landed on the ground, Johanna finally felt the presence of gravity again. Tears welled up as she saw the familiar Earth. Even the scent was so welcoming. A large group of journalists and staff surrounded her, celebrating the return of the hero. Johanna reunited with her daughter, and amidst the jubilation, scientist Dr. White quickly inspected the cold atomic device, his relieved demeanor signaling its intact state. Johanna and her family boarded a helicopter, holding hands and reluctant to part.
Mommy?
The lively scene just moments ago now became deserted, a mysterious force seemingly separating the mother and daughter into different spaces. Johanna looked out the window, where the helicopter and everyone were still visible, but a glance back revealed her daughter again. Everything returned to normal. It seemed to be her own illusion. Johanna finally breathed a sigh of relief, but her daughter's gaze became strangely unfamiliar, as if looking at a stranger. After a brief recovery, Johanna readjusted to life on Earth. A space base held a debriefing on the space station incident, reviewing footage from the time of the accident. The collision occurred simultaneously with the success of the cold atomic experiment. Typically, the system would detect and issue warnings in case of an impending collision, but this accident happened suddenly with no warning signs. When asked about the object Johanna detected during the impact, she confessed it was a corpse, a woman in a Soviet uniform. Despite skepticism due to the lack of camera records, the director presented audio evidence, proving Johanna's request to check her spacesuit's oxygen level before going outside. The lack of oxygen could cause symptoms such as memory loss, confusion, and hallucinations. The director believed the alleged corpse didn't exist, attributing everything to Johanna's hallucination. In the vastness of space, many remnants of previous missions became space debris. The orange packaging of trash bags closely matched Johanna's description of the corpse. It appeared she might have been mistaken. Seeing the photos, Johanna lost confidence, even starting to doubt her own perception during the incident. After the debriefing, Johanna was taken back home, where everything felt simultaneously familiar and strange. Accustomed to a life without gravity, she absent-mindedly let go of a cup, only to be reminded of her return to Earth as it shattered on the ground. Johanna asked her husband if he had bought a new car because the red car they had at home seemed to be missing. Her husband looked puzzled and insisted that they had never owned a red car. It had always been the blue one.
Sure we had a red car?
No. The scene shifted to several months later. Johanna was driving with her daughter through a snowy landscape. A passing police car made her tense, as the items in her car must remain hidden from the authorities. Unbeknownst to her family, Johanna had stolen the cold atomic device. They arrived at a secluded path in the outskirts where Johanna lit candles, illuminating an angelic oil painting on the wall. They were going to spend the night there. After her daughter fell into a deep sleep, Johanna went outside to hide the cold atomic device. Suddenly, she heard a voice behind her, someone in the woods calling for Mom. Quickly returning to the room, Johanna found her daughter peacefully asleep. However, the voice outside persistently calling for Mom continued. Ignoring the situation, Johanna, holding a lantern, walked towards the distant voice. Passing through a vast expanse of snowy terrain, she reached a forest. Unaware that her body was casting an eerie shadow, Johanna was surprised to find a house identical to the small cabin she had left. The difference was that the painting on this house's wall depicted a little demon. Ascending to the second floor, Johanna found a cabinet with her daughter's bracelet, emitting continuous sounds. This scene paralleled her past experiences in space, creating a harrowing connection. Opening the door, she was astonished to find her daughter inside, shivering from the cold. Johanna swiftly carried her back to the original cabin, kindling a fire to ward off the chill. She prepared hot water for her daughter's bath, but soon realized it wasn't enough. As she turned to add more water, she unexpectedly discovered her daughter in the room peacefully sleeping. Turning back to the daughter in the bath, Johanna was shocked to see two identical daughters, each engaged in different activities. The daughter in white suddenly appeared behind Johanna and asked what she was doing. Johanna hurried to the bathroom but found that the daughter who was bathing had disappeared. Now, there was only one daughter left. Johanna carefully smelled her and was surprised to realize that the disappeared person was her true daughter. Without a second thought, Johanna quickly dressed, took the cold atomic device, and headed into the snowy wilderness to find her real daughter. This is the latest mind-bending suspense series on Apple TV, with only 3 episodes released so far. Although the content revealed is not extensive, I can provide an analysis of the plot so far. The strange occurrences are all linked to the cold atomic device. In a crucial dialogue between a scientist and Johanna's daughter in the movie, they discuss the idea that the same entity can exist in 2 different states simultaneously. For example, a particle may appear black in one world and white in another. These worlds share a pre-limit space where the particle exists as both black and white until an observer appears. This description aligns with Johanna transitioning from the snowy landscape to another cabin, where she noticed phantom images appearing on her body, gradually replacing her actual self. In the transition zone, snowflakes remain suspended in the air. This is the so-called pre-limit space, signifying Johanna entering another world. Johanna is able to distinguish between the 2 worlds by identifying the scent on their bodies. She mentioned in the film that there is no smell in space, but back on Earth, she can sensitively perceive the scent of the planet. Given the different Earth atmospheres in 2 parallel worlds, the scents would vary. Hence, the scene where Johanna, in a white dress, detects the smell on the supposed daughter reveals the truth. The reason Johanna could repair the escape pod was because someone in the space station genuinely helped her, Paul. In this world, Paul is deceased, but in another world, he is alive. The cold atomic device operates, allowing the alternate Paul to assist Johanna in fixing the escape pod. In the segment where Johanna returns to Earth, both she and her daughter on the helicopter enter the pre-limit space. Upon returning to the helicopter, Johanna finds herself in another world, where the details of the house and even the color of the car differ. The daughter in this world keenly senses the discrepancy, observing her strange mother with suspicion. The film is filled with hidden details, and I recommend watching the original series. Feel free to share any new discoveries for collective discussion and analysis.